it's Rebecca, and welcome to Returning, a podcast to return to yourself and the wisdom within. I'm so glad you're here with me. Thank you for returning. Oh my goodness, today I have an incredible conversation with an incredible teacher, an elder, and someone who has been a really important guide for me. Yeye Louisa Teish is an author, a ritualist, a speaker, and a spiritual advisor on a global scale. She's written many, many books, including probably the most well-known is Jambalaya, which is the natural woman's book of personal charms and practical rituals. She's contributed to over 40 anthologies and many, many other creations and books. She's an amazing storyteller. As an Oshun priestess, and Oshun is the Yoruba goddess of love and sensuality, Yeye continues to officiate over spiritual retreats, rituals, and workshops that really have spanned over 40 years. She holds an honorary PhD from the International Institute of Integral Human Sciences as well. Oh, I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Yay. I am so happy and honored that you are here on this podcast with me today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here. Definitely.
So
Definitely.
I have so many questions for you, but I think the first one that I have, and this is one that I just personally are really intrigued about, is as someone who's been so dedicated and deep on your spiritual journey for such a long time, what do you see happening in the world right now? We're just going to go there.
Oh my God. Okay. Whoa. I have to say that most of the time I err on the side of optimism. We have a policy in Yoruba tradition that we do our best to remain centered, right? But if we are going to come off of center, it is better to give optimism dominance over pessimism. That's why we clean our heads and say, Ori migbamio, my head supports me. And so most of the time, no matter how dire a situation is, my question always is, in the face of it all, what good can I do? What good can I do? And I confess that after having done a ritual to stop war, a ritual for the children of the world, rituals to clean the waters, rituals to recognize the power of the herbs, and generally apology to Mother Earth for our behavior, I find myself in a state that I call world weary. I am working to hold on to my optimism in the face of the direction that I see the world heading. My saving grace is that we do have the powers of divination and the instructions that we get from the readings for the year, where we're told, the ancestors tell us what to expect and how to conduct ourselves in the faces of it. What is disturbing me now is that the reading said he wears the crown of a king with the mind of a child. Okay. And this is speaking to the rulers of our world, the dictators who are, in my opinion, connecting with each other with an intention of taking over the world and creating a global dictatorship. I'm very, very concerned about that, because that's the kind of thing that everyday people don't think about, you know, but I see it. A few years ago, I had a dream where I saw a red line being drawn from Russia to China, China to the Middle East, and the Middle East to the United States. And I see what that dream means now. You know, I do see strange kinds of cooperation between dictators who are taking power in various countries. And, I feel like there is an intention to take over the world, which is actually an adolescent boy's game. Most of the games for adolescent boys are about building empire and taking over worlds and that kind of thing. And so my fear is that we are up for a period of domination by adolescents. And so I think every day about what kinds of things we can do to endure and, secure life, stand up to this negative energy that is, is fomenting, and to that end, that's one of the reasons why I'm starting my school and art center to educate people in spiritual activism. How do we use our spiritual energy to combat this imbalance that is occurring now? So it's on my mind every day. I wake up in the morning and I watch the news, because from one day to the next, shocking things are happening. Mm-hmm. So, what I say to everybody is get up every morning, do your morning cleansings, your invocations, ask for guidance on what is the most good that I can do today, and who are my allies in this good, and do that. And then every night as you go to bed, evaluate whether or not you spent your day in a balanced way, lay down and ask for more guidance. That's the only thing that I can see right now, Yeah,
Thank
it's
you. Yeah, it's a lot. And I've just gotten back. I was at the Omega Institute. I've done a retreat where it was all women for the week, and it was interesting. Right at the beginning, there was a woman who stood up to share, and she was so afraid to share because the call that she had in her heart felt too big, and she was like, oh, it's egotistical. But what she shared was really what I believe is in the hearts of most women, or most awakened women anyway. And I do believe that the Great Mother, however she appears for each of us, is awakening in our hearts in a ferocious way. And at the same time, particularly in my generation and below, who are dealing with, say, online worlds, there is this, first of all, this, who am I to do this? Which, when we actually shared that with the rest of the women, there was 87 women. There was not one woman who did not rise saying, I have heard that call too. So first of all, it's like, we're not alone in that call, but it's that separation. We think it's just us, and then well, how can I possibly do it? But then there's this other piece that I can certainly relate to myself. And I know I'm not alone in it, of like, it seems like everyone's just so divided and so like, this is the right way, the wrong way. This is, and so there's so many who are in this state of paralysis and like, just like, what can I possibly do? Mm-hmm. Have you seen that?
The first thing I want to say is, if you open your eyes and look at Mother Earth's response to our behavior, okay, you know that whatever you can do to make the situation better is your responsibility to do that. Like if you ask the question, well, who am I? Who am I? How dare I? How dare you? You are a child of the earth, on the earth, at a time when she needs us to listen to her and to behave differently toward people and planet. I think that women especially have been taught to be over humble and misplaced compassion. you know I think that it is upon us to bring in the divine feminine, because it is an overdose of masculine way that has led to all this war and destruction and so on. So I feel like if a woman is receiving the message that she has a part to play, she should query her ancestors. She should ask the goddesses that she works with, what is my part, right? And then do her best to join with others of like spirit and let us do our part, okay? We have to have spaces, safe spaces, where women can express what we are feeling, because intuition and feeling have been so degraded, you know, in this mechanistic technological culture, that that's where the answer is. The answer is in decolonizing our thoughts. The answer is in re-indigenizing our spirits, reconnecting to nature and to each other. The present way that the world is being conducted is really suicidal. It really is. And I believe, and I have evidence um, that nature herself seeks a balance. And so, when a woman says to me, well, I've been having thoughts and I've been having dreams that I should do this, that, or the other, but who am I to do such and such? Who are you not to? Who are you to not to? If you are ignoring a strong spiritual sense, then you have to ask yourself, how come I'm doing that? Who trained me to trust some outside authority more than I do my own, my own intuition? And then when it comes to measures of power, sometimes I encounter women who say, well, all I can do, I can't do much. All I can do is, and I say, drop a pebble in a pond and watch that energy vibrate out. Every little thing that you can do is a drop of water in a fast flowing river that is going to make a difference by and by. But we need safe spaces where we can let those intuitions, let those desires come to the forefront, and then reach across the room to the other woman and say, let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this. It can be done. I personally believe that if those of us who know from our intuition how to bring about the balance, if we don't step up, the imbalance will kill us all.
Mm-hmm.
I take it that seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what has been coming through with my writing. It's like the earth knows how to survive. It's just whether or not we do.
Now, yeah, let's make that really clear. Sometimes people have the Western idea is that we are supposed to dominate the earth. Wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We are children of the
Mm-hmm.
earth she has allowed us to live on her body And the way we're behaving, we're more like ticks or barnacles, right? And if she decides to scratch and throw us off, I would not blame her. I understand that. But there's also, there's also the strong transformative power of mothering, of nurturing. When we nurture the earth, she nurtures us back. She helps us to heal in mysterious ways. I'm thinking of a woman I used to know who had severe allergies to the point where once a month she went to the hospital and they stuck a whole bunch of needles in her, and just did all these outrageous things, right? And she was a water systems engineer. And for her thesis, she went to Brazil to help clean up the Amazon from all that burning that they've been doing down there, destroying the rainforest. And she wrote me and she said, I've discovered that the more I clean the Amazon, the less bothered I am by allergies. I'm cleaning the river and the river is cleaning me. Okay? That's what we have to look for, is the reciprocal relationship, the reciprocity between us and the earth. We can no longer live on an assumption of an endless extraction of the earth's resources. That's no longer true. We have to think differently. We have to behave differently because we need her more than she needs us. It's that simple.
Oh God, yeah. As you know, like becoming a mother for me almost tore me apart. And I think the real reason, there were many, many, many reasons why, but I think deep down it was this acknowledgement of how deep that yearning for mother was within me. And I believe it's within each and every one of us.
Each person.
And I saw how I'd projected this yearning on one person and how I was kind of now embodying this one person. I saw my son look at me with the amount of love that he came in with, and he's no different to any one of us. And I remembered in my cells how much I came in with as well. And I'm like, it is impossible for one human to be all of that and contain all of that. And I just see it so much now, like this yearning for the feminine, the yearning to receive what the earth has always been providing in bounty. Can we talk about that? Like the absence of the goddess, the yearning for the goddess, and the relationship with ecocide.
Right. I think that one of the most positive things that's happening right now is there are a number of organizations around the world that are fighting for the legal rights of nature. Saying that nature has the same rights as a human being, right? And is entitled to the same protections. Therefore, we should be able to sue somebody who is polluting the water the same way we would sue somebody who was beating their mother. We really, really need to take a look at that and make sure that if we are going to have anything for our children and grandchildren to inherit, we had better get with the mother goddess energy and balance all this patriarchal, technological, material way that the whole world is being run. When anybody who thinks that the goddess is not real or who has difficulty connecting with it, I say the simple act of putting a seed in some soil and pouring some water on it and putting it in the sunlight will demonstrate for you what happens when the power of Father Son meets the potential of Mother Earth, then you see it. It's almost as if, for some people, it doesn't have to be part of a religion or religious practice. You just have to take a look at the laws of nature and how things work and put yourself in right relationship to that, to call on that power. It gets very complex for us as humans because the head is often in conflict with the heart, right? And the root. We're dominated by I think, and oftentimes do not pay attention to I feel, and completely ignore I need. But we're learning to recover from that. That happened because we became so industrial. We were so busy trying to produce things. We were so busy doing that we forgot being. Yeah, we have to take another look at it. And there's few things that are more earth-shattering than bringing a new baby into the world. I just did a baby blessing a few weeks ago, and one of the things that is typical in an African style baby blessing is once you get the child's welcome the child, get the child's commitment to stay here on earth with us, have the child taste earth life, have the community make a commitment to the child, and then do some divination to find out about what energies the child came in with. And then we hold the baby up to the sky and we say, behold the only thing in the universe that is greater than you. Behold the only thing, because this being has just returned to us from the land of the ancestors, and a piece of the eternal is now housed inside the body and the psyche of this person that we are holding, and this person comes to bring another piece of universal energy into manifestation. It is, the moment that a baby's head crowns, there is an opening between heaven and earth that there's nothing else like it. There's nothing else like it, And so everybody who is alive and connected is changed by that. I tell young mothers all the time, your baby came to upset your present routine, honey. That's
in
their
all
job.
of the ways.
That's their job, to bring you something that you didn't have before, to awaken another way of seeing and feeling, and especially of doing. So, I've been telling the young women around me at 76, I am happy to do weddings and baby blessings, but you better go get yourself a really good midwife, because I ain't helping with no more deliveries. Lord have mercy. It is such an earth-shattering
Have
thing.
you been present for a lot of deliveries?
Yeah. At a point in this community, I was like the emergency call person. It's like there's the licensed midwife. If she's not there, or if something happens, or I got to hold a place in between. I think about the night that I stood spread eagle over the door to keep the anesthesiologist from coming in the room, because they were saying we need to do a C-section, And all that had happened was the fetal heart monitor had slipped. You see what I'm saying? I keep my eye out on things like that. And a number of times there have been a situation where the husband went in the delivery room and he fainted. He fainted, so I got called to hold the hand. But we really have to be careful now. I don't feel like any woman, especially any woman of color, should go in the delivery room without an advocate. Without an advocate, okay? Somebody to watch out what's happening. Years ago, I sent some of my priestesses into a hospital to set up an altar for the woman who was in labor, an altar for Yeye, for the goddess who helps with labor. And they gave my women a real hard time about it. And I had to say, listen, we are licensed practitioners. We have the right to do this. And so they set the altar up. And then the woman told me after my people left, the nurses told her that they were going to punish her for having us come in. And so they denied her ice chips. You see how petty that is and how dangerous that is? Wow. You know, people have been trained to be afraid of natural processes and especially of the spiritual aspect of that. You know, I think about the people who are quote unquote offended when a woman nurses her baby in public. It's like, excuse me? That's crazy. That is crazy, because those same people will not be offended if they see an advertisement of a full busted woman in a bikini. You see? You know.
Right.
Yeah, so no, we have to stand up to things like that until our natural way of living, the way you want to live, the way your intuition tells you, the way your ancestors are guiding, we have to reclaim that right. And we have to examine everything that makes us uncomfortable. Why? Why does it feel so strange? You know, we have
100%. Yeah. And because I obviously come from a place of privilege, but even in my pregnancies, both of them, I had to fight so hard to trust my own body. You know, it was actually, I think, the biggest initiation for me, because I think particularly your first baby, and I think this happens in most systems, you don't know if you haven't done something the first time.
Right.
But within me was this like ancient, like ferocious, like something yelling, saying, no, that's not true. Primal mother. And it was, I got told that I was putting my baby at risk, that they're going to be huge, and the chances of this happening were X, Y, and Z. I got told so many times with my son's birth that numbers that ended up being completely wrong, as in like polar wrong.
That's right.
And navigating it was so difficult. And I come from a very privileged situation. We ended up delivering at home.
When you're dealing with people who are what I call eros-phobic, they're afraid of the erotic in nature, right? And so they make it very, very, they distance themselves from it. And rather than engaging what's going on right now, you know, the average woman has to stand up to an idea of standard operational procedure. No, you're not going to do standard operational procedure on me. You're going to pay attention to what's happening with me now. Okay, that's a big difference. Do you know the works of Jean Shinoda Bolen? She did Goddesses in Every Woman. Okay. Well, one of the things that Jean often said is because she was a psychiatrist, because she was a therapist, right? Her intellect had her feeling separate from other women. You know, she lived up here in her head. And then when she had her baby, she realized that she was now participating in something that women all over the globe experience, right? And it brought her out of the separation of the head and brought her into the heart and the root so that she could feel kinship, connection, compassion, and understanding embodied. Not abstract.
Whoa. And so I guess that's why so many new mothers in particular feel that earth-shattering grief at the same time as the joy. Sometimes, like, maybe we haven't ever felt it.
Well, you know, I have a theory that up there in the atmosphere, in the atmosphere, in the spiritual sphere, there is a thing called the mother's book. Okay, and when you have a baby, they download it into your head. There's a transmission of feelings and ideas, and especially concerns. You know, it's like, who have I brought into this world? How do I protect this new being from the craziness in this world, right? You know? And then how do I make this world a safe place for this being that I brought in here?
Maybe that's why most people who have become mothers, like, can't remember names and little details like that. It's like it takes up all the space.
Yeah, a place opens up in your head where this becomes, I think part of it is that all of a sudden, if you didn't have it before, you now have somebody who is more important than you in every way. More important than you in every way, and for the long haul. You know, it calls for
Yeah,
a
there's that
lifetime
feeling where
commitment.
you're like, oh God, like you can't have a foot in and a foot out anymore.
That's right.
It's like you have to be fully committed to being
You
here.
have to be. And it's cellular. It's primal, and it's cellular. It's not just in your head, right? And it does connect you. Being around children, period, connects you to the growth cycle in nature. You know, there's a thing, I don't know if you saw it. If you go into Google and you put in baby language plus Oprah Winfrey, Oprah had an interview with a female psychologist who has now deciphered the sounds that your baby makes the first 3 months. She has identified which sound means change my diaper, which sound means I'm hungry.
I saw this.
You saw that?
Yes. It's incredible. It's so true.
She proved it. She proved it. She had
Wow.
8 mothers from different races, different cultures,
Wow.
different ages, and the baby would cry, and she'd say, oh, this is what this one is. So what you do for this is that. And it worked each time.
Wow.
She really learned the language.
And what do you find so moving about that? Is it that they know, like the innate intelligence, or?
Yeah. Spirit talking. I mean, you know, some people think that if you don't have words, that there's no communication. But you know that there is invisible communication between you and your child on a level that is beyond shaping certain words. You go into sound, you go into feeling, you go into proof from them that there is something that they come in with intelligence, okay? That they are bringing us information from the other side. There's two things that are coming to mind now. I have walked in a room where there were, like in a nursery, where there were 4 or 5 babies crying, and I knew that they were talking to each other. You could, just the way you can be outside and you hear a bird do a call and then other birds answer, babies do that too. And if you listen, you can understand that. Also, when I was teaching at the University of Creation Spirituality, we had a gentleman, I think he was a Jungian therapist, who brought in a film of a little boy who was like 4 years old, maybe, or 5 years old, and his mother had just had a baby, and he went to the crib, and he took the baby's hand, and he said, "Tell me about God. I'm beginning to forget." Okay? Tell me about God. I'm beginning to forget. Okay? And so we have to take all of this mindset that we have on the externals, right? And make some room to see, what are our children saying as they come in? What are they bringing? What do they need from us? We really do have to give space to that. I'm fortunate in that years and years of being a storyteller, the children also know that I'm a secrets keeper, right? And so they would tell me things that they might not tell other adults because we share imagination. You know what I'm saying? If I'm telling stories to K through 3, there is no doubt that they go into the mystical with me. They think and feel in archetypes. They understand the story on a level that's beyond the intellectual, right? K through 3 are my favorite group to tell to. 4 through 6th grade, they look at me and they say, "Miss Teish, is that story true?" Right? Then I have to, yeah, because now they've learned that adults lie, right? And now I have to explain the difference between a storyteller, and a liar, right? Okay? When they get through junior high, 7th through 9th grade, where their hormones are messing with them, they say, "I don't want to hear your story." It's like that's that alienation period, because they don't know what's happening to their bodies. They know that adults lie. They feel like they don't have a lot of power. They're controlling each other. Everybody wants to be the same in junior high. I don't want to hear your story, right? High school, I got my own story. I'm grown now, Don't be telling me no story. And then you know what they say their freshman year at college? "What's my story?" What's my story? So I've enjoyed. I think that talking to young people through the medium of storytelling and listening and story sharing touches the mind and the heart. Yeah, the imagination. You get to see what's inside of them. their imagination. Where does imagination come from? You know, where does it come from? We had an earthquake in 1989 here in the Bay Area, and I was teaching at an elementary school in West Oakland, and I asked the class to write, where were you when the big quake struck, right? And all these elementary school kids wrote stories, and we turned it into an anthology called What's Shaking the Quake of '89, right? And there was one little girl whose story I will never forget. She said she had gotten up that morning and gathered up everything so that she could go in the bathroom and take her bath and get ready for her day. But when she opened the door, a cockroach was doing a backstroke in her bath water, and then the earthquake struck. Can you imagine?
Wow. Backstroke.
That's Kafka-esque.
Ready. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and all the stories let you know that they're tuned into a world that we've tuned out of. Oh, your baby got stories for you.
Yeah, totally.
He got stories for you, baby.
Oh my goodness. So I wanted to turn to the waterways now, and can you explain maybe there'll be some people listening who are working with water in a conscious way and others not at all. Can you explain why it's important and just really simply how we can do it?
Okay. Well, first of all, again, your evidence is in Mother Earth, okay? Most of this planet is water. Okay, most of this planet is water. It is the one element, when we look at the ocean, it regulates, life on Earth. If we look at sweet water, the waters of the river, it is the thing that we cannot live without. We cannot live without water. No, everywhere. We cannot live without water. If we look at the placenta, the baby lives in a bowl of salt water before it is born. So you got the ocean in your belly, right? A lot of indigenous people say that there is an ocean in the sky, that the blue up there is the same as the blue down here. Okay. We are in a dire situation. Okay. 75% of the planet is water. Okay. And I'm told that almost half of that is frozen in icebergs. Okay. So I want people to realize that if you have a clear glass of water that you can drink, what you have there is liquid diamonds. It is that precious. It is liquid diamonds. If your water is polluted, you are going to get sick and die. But even more profound than that, okay, I am happy to say that he's an ancestor now, but there was a Japanese scientist by the name of Dr. Matsuro Emoto. He has a book called Messages from Water. Okay, if you don't have it, you definitely want to get it. And what he did was he took water from one source and looked at molecules of it under the microscope. And then he had people to talk to the water, some of them speaking beautiful language, some of them talking neutral, and some of them complaining and, and being angry and so on. And then he put drops of that water under the microscope And he could tell you, he shows you in the book how the molecules of water change their shape according to the emotion that was projected into it. Okay. Practically, what this means for us, item number one, every culture in the world has a thing called a spiritual bath. People are baptized in the river, people have different concoctions, okay? So that taking a spiritual bath where you consciously communicate with the water is tantamount to covering yourself in a particular power. This means that you can do something as simple as take your glass of water, say your prayer into it, and really concentrate and drink it to imbibe the prayer that you have put out there. Okay. It means that you can take simple water and mix it with certain herbs that carry power. One of my favorite combinations is basil, which is very, very sympathetic to human beings, rosemary, which cleanses everything, right? And mint, which stimulates the mind. I love to mix those three and put it in a spray bottle and spray it all over my house so that I am walking in an atmosphere of cleanliness, intelligence, and psychic power. Water is that powerful. It is one of the simplest ways to do spiritual work. But we must have a reciprocal relationship with the water, which to me means if you're going to go down to the ocean, to rest or have a good time, before you put down your blanket, clean up if there's mess on the shore, clean that up, right? If you go to the river, and you are there praying, that's the river of life that you are addressing there. And I'm very, very distressed because our water is so polluted these days that we're pouring all kinds of toxins into the river. There's trash floating around. The dye from blue jeans is polluting the areas. But I'm also happy to say, I'm very concerned about running oil pipelines through our water and trolling the scraping the bottom of the ocean. But at the same time, there are people who are aware of this. There are people who are developing the practice of cleaning the shores before they go in. There are people, like my glass of water right here is water that is brought to me by my goddaughters who fetch it right as it comes right out of the rocks in this spring. And as the water trickles in, they sing to the goddess Oshun. So this is goddess water that I have here, and they bring it to me in these big containers. And it tastes, I don't have to go to the store and buy spring water because my girls bring
You get
it to
it brought
me.
to you.
I love it. I love it.
Well, I would love to conclude our time together with a really simple water ritual. And so can I invite everyone to get some water, and it can be just water you've got there in a cup, in a vase, whatever feels good. Yeye's got her incredible spring
I got
water.
mine.
I've got mine here, which is from Glastonbury. We've got the white and red springs here. This is actually my grandmother's vase that I use.
I share.
And so maybe shall we maybe do a collective prayer together for the waters of the world? Like,
Sure.
no more pollution.
No more pollution.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Great Mother Water, hear us, your daughters, your servants, your friends, as we come before you asking first and foremost for your forgiveness for the pollution that has occurred. Look upon us, those who love you and respect you. We are the ones who come to clean the waters. As we drink this water, we ask that you clean us. As we drink this water, we ask that you bless us. As we drink this water, we pledge to love and respect you. Ashe, 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 Sheo. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Thank you, Yeye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeye, can you share where everyone can find you, and if you have a project that's dear to your heart that you would like us to know about?
My website is www.Yeye Luisa Teish. That's YeyeLuisateish.com. And when you go on my website, you will see my Patreon link where I have new moon and full moon rituals. You will see places to sign up for divinations and all the various things, the various rituals that I am doing in the community. Of the most importance right now is I am launching a fundraiser to raise money to purchase a home, a piece of land with several buildings on it, because we have just incorporated as the School of Ancient Mysteries Sacred Arts Center. And I want to be giving certificates to people in artistic and spiritual activism to learn how to use our spiritual power to address some of the difficulties that we are facing in the world. We are not powerless. We are not powerless. And you should see the link there. All contributions.
Yeah, I'll include it in the show notes.
Okay. All contributions are appreciated, but especially along with the money, I ask you to hold a vision with me of being able to create something that will last for 7 generations. Okay? That will help
together, let's hold that prayer.
Hold that vision.
Holding in our hearts,
Hold that vision.
Our prayer for what Yeye is creating. And join me in saying 3 times, hear my sister's prayer.
Ashe.
Hear my sister's prayer.
Ashe.
Hear my sister's prayer.
Ashe. It is so. It is done.
Thank you. Today's soul inquiry is, what is one thing that Mother Earth or the ancestors are calling you to do today? What is one thing that Mother Earth and the ancestors are calling you to do today? And once you have this, as always, I invite you to write down or consider one little baby step you can take in that direction today to act on. What has moved you from this podcast or what has just come through in that soul inquiry?